our opponents, the media, and the whole world will soon see, as we begin to take further actions, that the powers of the president to protect our country are very substantial and will not be questioned.
Will not be questioned, he says. Definitely defiant from White House senior advisor Stephen Miller, talking about the president's immigration executive order, but his language is not sitting so well here on Capitol Hill.
Those statements yesterday were absolutely breathtaking. The thing that really bothers me, and I think you had this comment earlier, what you're seeing appears to be a somewhat systematic effort to delegitimize any opposition.
That is a simply stunning statement. The idea that a senior advisor to the president would go on camera and say the president's authority will not be questioned.
Let's talk it over with Roland Martin, host and managing editor of NewsOne Now. Joining me here on set and remotely joined by Republican strategist Matt Keelen. Matt, since you are out of the pocket area, we're going to start with you. Does the White House need to walk back this comment from Stephen Miller? What do you think?
I don't think so, Hallie. You know, I think what Stephen Miller was trying to say was that just like when President Obama was president and those very same senators and many people in the liberal media came to his defense when he was trying to get his agenda passed, that this president is going to push forward with his agenda. Look, we had an election on November 8th, and the president won the election, and the left still can't get over that fact. And right now, the White House is continuing to try to push the agenda that he got elected to do.
Matt, I think you forgot something. That's the executive branch. As a thing called the congressional arm. Hold on, Matt, 1 second. Matt, 1 second. The issue that people are taking on Capitol Hill, it's not just Democrats. Republicans are also offended by this. You have Senator Bob Corker, who is trying to make it perfectly clear, look, you might be the president, but when it comes to foreign relations, you're going to have to deal with Congress as well. And so Stephen Miller, it looked like a SNL skit for me for a second there, but he needs to be very careful about overstepping the boundaries because Congress has a role to play here.
Do you think, Matt, that there isn't... Go ahead, Matt. I'll let you respond to that.
Unfortunately for the left, the SNL has become your parallel universe.
All right,
but
I want to get into SNL. Wait a
second.
But Matt, let me ask you this, though. The point that Roland raises, I'd be curious to your take about it, the idea of checks and balances, right? There's some speculation. Senator Coons, who, by the way, sits on the Judiciary Committee, said that the statement from Stephen Miller, this idea, could make it actually harder for somebody like Judge Gorsuch to get confirmed. So I want to get your sense of this idea of checks and balances and whether you think the executive branch has a good grip on that.
I don't think that Stephen Miller was talking about the legislative branch. I think what he was talking about is that the president is probably going to have another executive order on immigration, and that the courts have their say, but so does the president, and that he will continue to push his agenda. Nowhere in his statement do I see that Stephen Miller is questioning the legislative branch's ability to have some part of this debate.
Let me talk about the other big headline today, which is the future of National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Our reporting has indicated that White House aides are encouraging President Trump to fire him after real questions about this conversation that he had with the Russian ambassador and then what he told the vice president and others about this conversation. While we do that, I want to take a look at President Trump. This is a live look, greeting now, happening now, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at the door of the West Wing. The two of them shaking hands, a shoulder clasp, if you will. It looks as though they are waiting for perhaps others to join them. Nope, there they are heading in for their bilateral meeting. We expect the two of them to have discussions today. We expect a press conference later on this afternoon with Prime Minister Trudeau and President Trump. So a lot of action happening at the White House, including, as we're talking about, maybe a shakeup when it comes to his National Security Council with National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. Roland, I'll start with you, and then Matt, I'll give you the very last word. Should Flynn stay or go? What do you think?
Flynn has to go. You cannot lie to your bosses. You cannot lie to the White House. He embarrassed the Vice President of the United States. Plus, the intelligence community has to trust the National Security Advisor. And so this is a fundamental problem, and Donald Trump has to send him packing. And Republicans on Capitol Hill should be holding hearings to ensure the American people that he was not cutting a deal with the Russians.
Matt, last word.
I think that President Trump and Vice President Pence will have an investigation of their own, and they'll make a determination whether or not they can still trust this man. If they can't, then I think we'll have a change, and I think the country will continue to move forward.
Roland Martin, Matt Keelen, thank you both for joining us